We're coming to you today from the booth of Q-Mark Manufacturing, and we'll have a third and final episode of our show from here at MTS in Chicago tomorrow.
That's right.
Meanwhile, I had an interesting conversation yesterday with a guy, Paul Vragel from For a Better Business, who dropped by our booth. Paul is a consultant, a quality consultant, and in essence his job is to help companies tap the knowledge of their employees. And that's a topic that has come up more than once on our show over the past few years. We've had several articles on that as well, kind of, how do you glean the knowledge from your workers? So if you're looking to streamline or improve your processes, I mean, who knows better how to do that, right? I mean, is it the CEO? Is it a middle manager? Okay, yeah, maybe, but your best shot is probably the person who's actually doing the job, the person on the front line who really knows how things work, right? The problem is that in an entrenched command and control culture, how easy is it to glean that information? I mean, there's several problems. Paul was talking to me, just kind of saying what he runs across in his consulting business when he's trying to do this. He says, number one, is convincing employees that this is not just another program du jour. Oh, great, another consultant, another program, yeah, whatever, right? He says, and kind of one of the ways way he deals with that in his business is that you've got to show results to the employees immediately. So when a consultant comes in, when he comes in and he's doing his job and he's gaining this knowledge from the workers on the shop floor, he's got to implement that immediately into some sort of process so that they see that their input is actually going somewhere and it's actually doing something, right? So it's important, number one, as you're getting that knowledge, that you put it into action right away. Not a year, not 8 months, but 3, 4, 5, 6 months. They got to see those results immediately. Otherwise, they're going to say, yeah, this is just another consultant, right? Number two is you got to get managers to let go. Often, when employees get involved in process improvement, it means that middle managers may lose some of their control. I mean, and how do you handle that? Because a lot of times, the middle managers might be picking up some of this information from the employees, and then it's the middle managers who might be funneling this up to, and so you've got this kind of telephone thing going on, right? So if you're gleaning this information directly from the frontline people who are doing it, in some cases, this may strip middle managers of some of their job, and so that has to be factored in. How do you deal with that? How do you make the middle managers know that they're still important, right? And finally, of course, these changes have to become part of the culture, right? Once the consultant leaves, what happens then, right? So he's saying it's important, and part of his job is addressing all those issues, right? Come in, get that information from the employees, get it worked into the system, get middle management buy-in. Obviously the CEO has already bought in, otherwise he wouldn't have brought in a consultant to begin with, right? But none of these problems that Paul mentions are insurmountable, and he says that. You just have to have a process for doing that. And the point is, bottom line, the people who do the work usually know best how it can be done and how a process can be improved. So it was really interesting. He just dropped by the booth and just, hey, this is kind of what I do, knowledge, gaining workers from knowledge. That was just really interesting conversation.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, this is a problem that's kind of endemic to industry, where there always are a lot of solutions. I mean, this is a show where solution providers rule, and you always have solutions that are available. And the question is, what solution do you select? I mean, if you're an executive at a company and you have a facility, factory, let's say, there's a lot of choices. I mean, there's Lean, there's Six Sigma, there's Bulge. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do to improve your quality. But if you don't stick with any one thing, if it's the flavor of the month and you shift it around all the time, like you say, you've got to kind of let the employees get it and keep getting it rather than just shift off of it, because then they're like, well, do you believe what you're doing or not?
Well, and also if you are doing a program like Six Sigma or Lean or something, that's not a separate thing from using the knowledge from your employees to feed into that, right? If you've got a Lean program or a Six Sigma program and you're looking for process improvement, waste reduction, who better to ask, right? Who better to get involved in that process than the people who are actually doing the work?
Right, and that's really the takeaway, is that your people, you hired your people for a reason. We always say that. You have people on your staff and you trust them, you brought them in, you nurtured them, you mentored them, you've promoted them in many cases, and there's a reason why they're on your team. because you trust them to do the right thing and to kind of take ownership of your process. But if you don't allow them to have ownership of what they already know to do, if you do micromanage them, they're never going to buy in. They may buy in for a short period of time, but they're never going to really stay bought in to whatever the the procedure or the process is. If you're a manager, you don't follow through and give them that authority, you're never going to get anything out of it.
Right.
So, you know, I didn't talk to Paul, you did. I saw you engaged tightly in the conversation with him, so I didn't know what exactly it was about. But
just a shout out at Paul Fragel. So Fragel, sorry.
And you know, I mean, another great reason to be at IMTS is you never know who you're going to see,
run into,
conversations you're going to fall to. I mean, if you come to the show, a big show like this, or Control, I think is the same way in Europe. I mean, you're going to have conversations with people. You're going to learn stuff that you didn't know or expect that you were going to learn coming in. And that's really one of the benefits of coming to a show like this is, you know, the things you learn that you didn't know before and the opportunities you have to fall into conversation.
Yep, that's right.
Really, really good stuff.